Welcome back, bums! You bums. Check it out. I have an Idoneth Deepkin list for you guys that I will analyze, and maybe you can help me analyze it too. Put what you think about this list in the comments, or what do you want to see next. So we have Oliver Ganduet. But Oliver Ganduet, Oliver Gan didn't. He lost in the first round of top 8 against Andrew's Stormcast Eternal list, which is the one just not too far below it here. And not this Stormcast Eternal list, the other one, the one by Andrew. So he defeated Oliver Ganduet in the first round of top 8. I believe Oliver was second coming into Swiss, so I believe he was second coming into Swiss, so he did pretty good, or coming out of Swiss. He did pretty well in Swiss. He just straight up was rolling his opponents, and you can take a look at this. I'm moving very quickly. Here it is. Oliver, where are you? 15, 15, 15, 12, and then 15. So he was kind of rolling his opponents until he finally got hacked at the very end by Andrew Standiford. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and start the analyzation right now. He's playing Idoneth Deepkin, Enclave, Daham Haim. So, Daham Haim. I just had that pulled up on my phone, then it just disappeared. Thanks. Thank you. This is going to be a great video, guys. Great video. Let's look up what Daham Haim does, just in case we have no idea what it does. It doesn't really do too much. Again, it's fine to pick this. They had some other choices. I like Daham Haim a little bit. In your combat phase, reroll hit rolls of 1 for Damhaim Achillean and Damhaim Namarti units that made a charge move this turn. So he's going to reroll all his 1s on hits for his Morisar guards and Ishalain guards. I'm not going to pronounce anything correctly, by the way. I'm just going to say things. You can reroll failed wound rolls for Damhaim or Killian units if the target is a monster. So when he's fighting up against other people's monsters like Celestant Drake thingies and giant trees and zombie dragons, he can reroll those failed wound rolls. And he's got another ability for battalions, but he didn't take the battalion. So rerolling failed wounds against monsters and rerolling 1s on the charge. He's in the mortal realm of Heish, which allows his Isharon Soul Scryer to take the Aether Quartz Brooch, which just means that on a 5-up, every time he spends a command point, on a 5-up he gets that command point back. That is good for continuously spending extra command points to do, especially the vanilla command points. But he's also read the rules document. Here it is. Let me pull it up just for reference. Most of these places that they're fighting, like Shyish, you get these extra realm commands. And now he's able to take advantage of those every battle round that has good commands for him. So that's why that would be good. And he's not trying to get his Isharon Soul Scryer into combat anymore. He does have like 8 attacks, but they're really bad attacks. It's got like 18 range or something, so he can just kind of stand around and shoot at stuff. It can also try and cast a ritual. None of the rituals are really all that good. There's a ritual here for Eidolons. He has no Eidolons in his list, so that's not going to do anything. The other ritual is your opponent's models cannot fly, which is kind of nice. And until your next hero phase, enemy units do not receive any benefits from being in cover, which there's not much need to be in cover against this Idoneth Deepkin list. So really, stopping enemy units from flying is as best as that thing's ever going to do. And he's not going to have much of a chance, because you got to roll a 10 up, and you only get 2d6, and you get a couple +1s for this or that. So I think what he's really taking the Isharon Soul Scryer for is being able to do these deep strike deployments. So let me get to the... I'm all over the place. All over the place. War Scrolls here. the Isharon Soul Scryer. It has the Finder of Ways. Instead of setting up this unit on the battlefield, you can place it to one side and say it's traveling in the Ether Sea. A bunch of units, up to 2 units can join this model in this way. At the end of any movement phase, you can set this model up wholly within 6 inches of the edge of the battlefield, more than that from the enemy models. Also, at the very bottom, it has Seeker of Souls. You can choose an enemy unit to have your units get a +3 to charges against it. So it can kind of come in and pop his guys in and get that charge off somewhere else besides the front line of the battlefield. And I think that could be pretty good. And he does have 3 Morisar guards. So he could have like 2 of the smaller units or the bigger unit or whatever sort of do that. And he's going to play by ear on that. He's going to use his generalship to really decide what he wants to do. And like hit your opponent where he's soft and defend where he's trying to make a push. Basically, these Ishaline guards, which ignore the opponent's rend, they're going to want to hold the points, while the Morisar guards are more interested in taking a point. Now let's get on to Volturnos. Volturnos doesn't have any other special stuff because he is a named character. This dude has a lot of abilities and he can do a lot of damage. Now I think he picked Volturnos because it has a lot of cavalry type damage. And if you notice that this list is sort of like a Bretonnian style list. It's a very cavalry heavy list. A lot of bonuses on successful charge and stuff like that. And Volturnos, let's see, has a really good command ability, by the way. But it only happens at certain times. You can use this command ability if this model is your general and high tide ability. So you got to wait to the high tide. If you do so, pick a friendly Idoneth Deepkin wholly within 12 of your general. Add 1 to the attack's characteristic of melee weapons, used by that unit to your next hero phase. So that's pretty good. And just being able to put a lot of damage onto your opponent. So when you get a successful charge with some of these units, they get like an additional -2 rend and additional damage. So getting extra attacks is pretty sick. And also with the other extra abilities. So it has Deep Mare Horn. On roll a dice, this model ends a charge within 1 inch of an enemy unit. On a 2+, the nearest enemy unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. So obviously you're just going to want to do a sort of a cycle charge. And he's going to wait till he gets to that tide where he can retreat and charge in the same turn. That's insane. Normally that's not so good, but in Idoneth it's so good. So he's basically the high tide. He's going to sit there and go, okay, all my guys are going to fight first. And then the next turn he's going to go retreat and charge and get all those bonuses again. It's going to be insane. Let's see. Next up, we have Dryka Hamadreth. We are picking Dryka, or I guess he is picked Dryka. So Dryka is really good at fighting away low wound, swarmy blobs. Okay, so you're going to use the colony of Squirmlings, and her normal attacks and her other abilities. Nobody really cares. She's not that good, but she is also a wizard, so she can cast the Heish spells, which we'll go over here in a second. But those Squirmlings roll a dice for each model in the unit that's within 10 inches of Dryka. For the result that equals or exceeds the number shown in the damage table, the unit will suffer a mortal wound. So every unit within 10 inches, it's enemy unit, right? Every enemy unit within 10 inches of her, every model in those units, so she can affect like multiple units. On a 3-up, they're going to take a mortal wound. It's really good. So every model is going to get that check. So you could be rolling buckets of dice here on this. So launch it at your opponent, or just wait till your opponent launches themselves at you. It's really good against those death blobs that are trying to play Grimghast Reapers. It's okay against the Stormcast Eternal's soul, you know, those giant liberator type blobs, whatever they're called. It will just do so much damage. So because it's mortal wound, they're not going to take any saves. So she's definitely getting her points worth, and then being a much needed wizard in this list because he doesn't have much wizard power. His other wizard is a Spellweaver with a Heartwood staff. Basically, the built-in spells are almost useless. He's got Arcane Bolt, Mystic Shield, and one that revives Wood Elves. He doesn't have any of that stuff. So he's basically going to use its auto unbind. You get 1 per game auto unbind with the Spellweaver. You're going to want to use those against maybe a Geminids of Olgish, maybe. It's a pretty good target for that. So you're going to be able to pick and choose right when your opponent's trying to get that critical spell. Nope, you're not going to get it. And if you're trying to stop any other spell, Draco will try and get the other spell. Also, to go along with that, if it doesn't dispel or something like that, or get rid of a predatory endless spell in its turn, it can cast like a Malevolent Maelstrom, which is really good at combating enemy wizards. So for only 20 points, you're getting a model that will try and absorb. So if you fail on your unbind, this thing can make an unbind, right? If a wizard successfully casts a spell within 12 inches of Maelstrom, and that spell is not unbound, so you could try and get 2 unbinds on it, the Maelstrom will attempt to steal energy of the spell, make an additional unbind roll for the spell. If this unbind roll is successful, the spell is unbound and 1 energy point is allocated to the model. And then every turn you're going to roll a die. On a 7+, it explodes and does some damage within a radius, whatever, and then it leaves you open to casting it again, right? So he's trying to have some wizard protection because he doesn't have many wizards himself. Next up, we have the Achillean Morsar Guards. Again, those we're trying to kill our opponents on the charge and then use the other group to hold the point. That's what he's trying to do, or just charging both of them. That's fine. Just cycle charging through. It's really good. Getting those bonuses. If you haven't read what the Achillean Morsar or the Achillean Ishilian Guard does, you probably should read those. It's basically the backbone of his army, doing a lot of the moving around. And they have like 14-inch movement range, so... and in one turn, they can run and charge. So they're going to get across the board. They're going to be where he needs them to be when he needs them to be there. And that's really powerful in a lot of these lists. A lot of these lists are revolving around being where you need to be. So you can score those very crucial points to get those major victories. Because again, if you win, if you get minor victories, you're still not going to make it because everyone else is going to outpoint you. Okay. So we went over pretty much most of it. I guess, yeah, we'll go over the Heish spells. Those are what's next, because when he's not casting his own spells, he's going to need to rely on the Heish spells to do the casting for him. Let's see. The spells of Heish. He's got Exercising Beam. Basically, he can target at a demon or death unit, and it will do D6, or any other unit for D3. Cast value of 6, 12-inch range. Light of Battle, basically allied unit, cast value 5 with an 18. Does not take Battle Shock tests. It's good with these Morsar Guards because they only got Bravery like 6 or something. Not too high. Vengeful Illumination you won't use. It's not good in this list. And you can look up on your book, Malign Sorcery, to further look at these. But I think he's going to use a lot of Healing Glow to keep that Volchnos healthy. Basically, it's just going to heal D3. And to keep Draika healthy so that her Squirmlings still do awesome stuff. Aetheric Net, though, I'm going to read that one. It's pretty good. Aetheric Net has a casting value of 6. It successfully cast, pick a point on the battlefield with 18 of the cast and roll a dice for each unit, friend or foe, within 3 inches of that point. On a 4-up, the unit suffers 1 mortal wound, and its move characteristic is halved. So that's further, again, controlling the battlefield. You can cast this on something that's coming at you, or is trying to run away. Cast this on something that's trying to go towards a point, prevent them from scoring so you can score, get there first. It's really good at doing those things, controlling the battlefield. Banishment. Banishment has a casting value of 8. It successfully cast, pick an enemy unit within 12 inches of the caster's visible, and remove that unit from the battlefield and set up again on the battlefield more than 9 inches away from any models from the caster's army and more than 24 inches from the caster. So you're able to then really just pick up and replace a unit. But I mean, a lot of these Morsar Guards can move so fast anyways. And that's pretty much it. So that's you know what? You're a bum.